week's episode of The Voice Party is brought to you by Big Boy Raps. Get your car wrapped by some of the most experienced and skilled in the Bay. Big Boy Raps, where the big boys play.
What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to The Voice Party. We got Phil, we got Gaspar, we got JD. My name is Marcos. I am the co-host for today, and we got a very special guest. Can you please introduce yourself?
My name's CB. I'm so happy to be out here on a day where the Warriors are playing the play. Y'all pull me out to this spot. Who doesn't like to come out to sunny-ass Concord? So you can't swear on this thing, right?
You can say whatever you want, man.
Yeah. But on the real, my name's CB, Chris Berger, a.k.a. Charlie Bravo. I'm here to just, chop it up with my fellas and see what's up.
Welcome.
Hey, thank you. Thank you for joining us, man. Yeah. I know from the very beginning when I started this, you were one of the persons I've been wanting to have on.
Yes.
And I've we go way back. I mean, not that long, but really long now. It's been some years. I brought you to see him perform. I brought a lot of my friends to see you perform, man. And I'm happy to hear that you're writing again. It's crazy that we worked side by side in a cubicle, and we do similar things. We both like. I remember one night we both had a show. we were working fast to get out of there.
The way you did, I thought you said you were gonna do like shrooms or something. We both had some shrooms at work. It was tripping. Extra cell here. We were hustling.
Caps only here.
We met hustling.
Yeah,
right?
We
were cable dudes. Right?
We were doing door-to-door cable.
One of the hardest jobs ever, man.
Ever.
Think about it.
Yeah.
But I love that because you never know what's behind that door.
Yep.
And then the thing is, one thing they teach you is whiffle. What's in it for me? So you can't sell to somebody unless you speak their language. So sometimes I wouldn't even sell. I would just, let's chop it up.
Yeah.
Next thing you know, they sign the paper and they're like, what the fuck did I just do? Because you got all this other shit going on. Yeah, Niners, right? I'm a fucking Raider fan, whatever. And they sign it. And they're like, what did I just buy? A quadruple play? What's that?
Yeah, exactly.
But you made your quota.
You made your quota.
Made a quota.
Yep. And you made a friend.
Yeah, more importantly.
Right.
What were you saying?
I was saying you can't cancel with me. You already signed the paper.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
You got to call them tomorrow during office hours.
You can cancel after my fucking commission hits.
The thing is, that job sucked.
It did.
But if you said that until I could say it now because I don't do it, and I feel bad for anybody that does it anymore. Because you have to love that job every day you do it. Because the moment you throw in the towel, you're done.
Yep.
You can't sell.
And you can't get yourself out of that
rut.
Yeah, that rut. It's hard. Yeah.
Even when they would pay you, because when you work in-house for the whatever cable company, they pay you maybe 30 grand, 28 grand, and then you make your commissions on top. So you can make 150 doing this. But
we can't say the name because they sponsor this podcast. I'm just kidding.
The other thing is the fact that you and I are seeing each other at 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock on a Sunday, we'd be out knocking doors to make our quota.
Yep.
Weekends didn't exist. Now I got weekends.
And you have that same energy that you did for that. You can do it. That's one of the things I took away from that sales job. It taught me how to hustle. In a way that I've never fucking hustled before. And I was like, I can implement that into my own thing to this, the way I hustle this now. And I'm sure you can.
It was like you got maybe 70%, 80% of JD and CB. Right. Where's that in that other percent is that artistic side is just beat down because that's the other thing you asked me. Oh, when's the last show you did? Okay, when you're doing live shows and comedians can identify with this, players can identify with this, artists, athletes, it's like when you're so busy performing, okay, you got to get up, all the prep for the performing, and then the actual performance, whether it's your skit you're doing, all your jokes or whatever you got, or your 10 songs or 20 songs that you're doing at a performance, your mind's not free to think of the new stuff.
That's true.
And this is food for you're artists, right? So this is food for thought. Being on the tour is good for that, and you could journal and stuff. But I feel all bad for all the people that died and got sick and lost loved ones during the pandemic. But for the artists, You know, you feel bad that was people's livelihood. That was their only means of making money and getting by. For those of us that were able to pivot and hustle and still make money doing whatever, or at least rent or whatever we needed, now you had time to sit back and you couldn't play that show, right? And so you saw what my cousin
Mario,
right?
Mario Montes is his cousin.
He started coming on with all this stuff. I'm like, what is this dude? Is a genius. He's crazy. What is this dude? He's crazy. But it was like pivoting the way that he was like. One night he's at the layover. The next night he's doing this, you know, with the FaceTime thing he was doing. And for me, I was just deep. And for me as an artist, I have to have everything firing on all cylinders, right? So I need to work out. I need to eat right, and then I need to need to either every day as an artist I need to either write, perform, practice, produce, right, or record. One of those things, right? And so if I'm not performing, I better be coming up with something new. Or practicing, because you could write 100 songs. If you can't practice them and arrange them,
that's true.
It's a bunch of freestyles, right? So let's get everything condensed here. And so what I've been doing is these 2-hour walks. Wow. I go on a walk, and I got 100 beats from my homeboy, our sax player in New York. He just sent me 100 Dropbox beats. Wow. And I'm up to 50 now. Oh, wow. And those are the ones I like. So I go through 100, and I just 7, 6, 5. Right. So I won't fuck with anything less than a 7. And then I'll revisit. I'm like, there's some 5s that I wasn't feeling at first, right? And then I just start hitting them. But I'm on a 2-hour walk. And I'm writing, right? You know, I'm really doing it on the Google Keep, you know, and I'm like, and then what I'll do is I'll take it home. It take me like 1-2 hour walk to write the song or finish it the next day, work on the chorus, then print it up and then walk. And I usually walk with like 3 songs and a pen, and I'm just editing.
Oh, as you're walking.
Yeah, and I live in West Oakland.
Studio at your space?
Yeah, we do. We have at Soundwave in West Oakland, which is right below Mandela and West Grand. We have a 2 floors. So it's like you go in, you got the traps, the cabinets, the bass, the mini grand, Rhodes, and you go upstairs. Oh, and the mic booth, and upstairs we got the soundboard and some more workstations. But actually, I've been going straight to our mixer. The dude that mixed my album, he's just supreme on the boards, and so I'm like, I got it to the point I don't have to do the pre-pro, and we weren't. I mean, until what? 2 months ago, were we getting together, right? So we just started getting together 2 months ago, and I was like, we had already bypassed and gone straight to the mixer.
So you got all the work that you needed to get done in those 2-hour walks. You ironed out all the creases you needed to take care of, so that you can go straight, cut out the middleman.
Right, and then the one thing that, because I'm like, you look at me and Blake, right? Mike Blake, the other MC in Alphabet Soup. I'm the writer, he's the off-the-head freestyle, and that's why we mesh so well. The way I write it's the way you're going to hear it, because for me, I perfected it. Right? For him, I'm like, that ain't how you wrote it. Right?
Improvises on stage.
I'm like, what the heck? But we're wired differently, and I had to come to terms with that, and that's one of the reasons I used to party so hard. So I come off the head when I'm toe up. I got a couple 40s and 10 shots of vodka. But it was not pretty. Right. And so I was like, do what you're good at. Right. And so something I had to come off was like, let's get to the studio 90% prepared. Right. And just allow that. Right. Well, the 90% is like me pulling back, because I'd be, no, that's exactly right here. And he's like, let's allow for some of that organic stuff to happen.
The live magic to happen.
Right. And so that's kind of like, you know, if you can't impress your boys, so if you come up with your jokes and your boys ain't impressed, don't even. KRS-One, one of my favorite MCs of all time. Chris
Same
Parker,
here.
Right?
Same here, yeah.
His whole story about Sedgwick, where hip hop was born in the South Bronx and stuff, he's like, you had to get good in your bedroom, come out into the living room before you can even go to the streets. Right. So if you couldn't impress your surrounding crew, they're telling you kind of like, if they don't go, you know, they're telling you, no, it ain't that tight.
Right. And so it's one of those little rituals of acceptance of the material. Like, it's got to be good with everyone here before you take it out there. In a way, that's what we do at open mics. You know, like it kills with us. Okay, it's gonna be destroy with the live crowd. And similar to what you guys do.
Yeah. No, 100%. I wanted to ask you: has the pandemic affected your balance in any way of like trying to get the exercise, trying to eat right, trying to write, trying to record? because things are coming back now, with getting back with your boys to the studio. Like I was telling them, we didn't practice for a whole year because we had to wait it out. You know what I mean?
Yeah. In a way, yeah, you're very much on point with that, because I just got asked to do a gig, and I told the person, I was like, well, to do the full Love Phenomena, which is my solo creation, Phenomena. I'm like, to do that's actually an 8-person thing. And the person's like, well, I ain't really got those funds. I was like, well, here, we could do a condensed version, which is the live jazz guitarist with a DJ. Right, DJ Funklore, and then the 2 MCs. Right, and so it made us pivot on who we actually start the call out to. Otherwise, yes, we're going to need about four months.
That's
the minimum.
Our manager got us a couple shows, and he was like, "No, it's going to be a full band show on June 4th or something." Yeah. We're like, we're going to pull it out of our ass.
That means giving up giving up a lot of free time from between now and June, because that's one thing artists don't do is come ill prepared.
Right.
The ones that survive.
Right.
That's what I wanted to ask you about your group. Like, for example, Alphabet Soup. I have never seen that kind of group before, where it's like it mixes jazz.
Yeah.
It's hip hop, but it's like got elements. It's like, wait, what? Like it's. I've never seen that before. Maybe I'm just out of the loop.
No.
It's a perfectly balanced jazz. You got 2 bass guitarists.
Yeah.
I've never seen that before. I don't know if that's a thing. And then turntables, keyboards.
Oh shit! Yeah. So what you saw, and it's interesting because around that time.
And also, what I was going to ask is a little history on Alphabet Soup, man.
So I was just, this is hella B-town-ish of me.
Yeah.
But me and the wifey were like, let's go get some food. Oh, you decide. And I was like, whatever, And somehow Top Dog came up. She don't eat meat.
Yeah.
But she get the whatever dog, the vegan dog.
The vegan dog, yeah.
And I do eat meat,
Yeah.
So I'm like, shit, let me get 2 tops, right? But I'm out there and I'm looking over and I'm like, you know what? That place right across the way from Top Dog is where I was during the Rodney King riots. Because I remember my boy Lucky, I'm not sure if you ever met Lucky. He was a dope ass dance hall artist.
No, I don't think I met him.
He got murdered in my neighborhood like 2 years ago, and he was like beautiful dude, most amazing voice, and I just remember him hanging from these little things, and some folks had gone into the Gap and taken their right, and so I'm looking at this dude, and I'm just like, and it was crazy because Telegraph at that time, I was like, damn, and I was like, that's where I was so long ago. And the song that I just done on Friday, I was talking about Alan Bluford, the young man that was killed by Officer Masso from the OPD back 5 years ago, and then that dude went on and kept on working when he murdered this youngster, right? And I'm talking about the youngster in the song, like, let's not forget about this. You guys know about Mario Gonzalez, right, and Alameda. And so it's the same thing we're seeing time and time again, and I'm like, this is where I was in '92 when this happened, right? And that's the building where Alphabet Soup was born.
Wow.
Because that's when I first met Zachariah Mose.
Yeah.
And so it was, and this is to go into your question about what are the players and how did this thing come to be? And it's like, around that time is when Diggable Planets was coming out, and I'm Cool Like That, Us Three, which Dip Fantasia, that.
Yeah.
And so this whole hip hop jazz thing came out, and here's the reality: we had jazz players, tenor saxophone, 4-string bass player, 6-string bass player, keyboard player, drummer. Then we had some DJs, 2 MCs. It's really dudes with jazz players that play in 4/4 with the funk sensibility, right? Jazz sensibility with the funk 4/4. The low end with the bass, the pocket bass, the guy that holds a pocket, the 6-string bass player could go up and have fun, right? And so when people were like hip hop jazz, here's the other reality. You had like the supper clubs, or that time you would play 3 sets. Well, the 2 MCs ain't going to come in until second or third set.
Right.
One, because we were just talking about that one story, right? That was Christy Turlington's supper club.
Yeah.
Well, they're eating their chicken. You're going to scare them eating their chicken, trying to cut their asparagus. You're all, down with the double mix. They're choking and shit, right? So, so you bring us up on after they're nice and liquored up in second and third set. And so they're playing jazz standards and, with the jazz.
Right.
Right. And then, but then we were one of the few groups that you'd be playing 2 different venues on the same night because it was a vibe, it was an idea, it was a movement, right? So you have Alphabet Soup playing this place in the city and this place in the city at the same time because you still had 2 MCs, right? Because we had a lot of interchangeable,
band members from
moving parts.
Yeah.
So you could have 2 different jazz groups performing at 2 different places,
Yep.
and you could go hit both of them up
Yep.
as
Yep.
MCs. That's genius.
But 4 different MCs too.
4 different MCs.
Yeah, we had.
Because you had Chris Riggins before at one point, right?
And then Deuce Eclipse, when you get him on, when I first met him, was at the lounge on Lakeshore or Grand, and he's like, I didn't know him, and he just walks up. I didn't remember him, when I was back in my drinking days. I didn't lose a lot of this stuff up here. So he's like, yeah, you were the first dudes to let me on stage on the microphone. I just wanted to thank you. Here's my album. And I'm with my girlfriend at the time. I'm like, yeah, thanks, youngster. I go home, put in the CD. I'm like, oh, this dude's killing me.
Yeah.
Right? I'm thinking I'm the OG, and I'm like, this dude's killing my shit. He was beautiful because I hadn't heard someone sing with that so much soul as an MC. You'll hear it when you hear Deuce Eclipse's stuff, man. He's a bad dude.
Yeah. And you guys originated in Berkeley. I didn't know that was a big a big scene for jazz, the way you describe it.
It was actually at this place we call the Jazz Club, 28th and Adeline in Oakland.
Oh, Oakland,
where I live now.
Yeah.
And it was, so the idea was born in Berkeley because it was the manager, a guy I grew up with named Gary Angel. He's like, yeah, you guys are going to rap together and we'll put it together. And he was big in the San Francisco scene. Mm-hmm. But, Berkeley wasn't a place to play a lot of gigs. I mean, there was Berkeley Square, but our bread and butter was really San Francisco clubs. Yeah, and then we got signed and then we went all around, Northwest, New York and all that stuff.
And you've had a lot of different, musicians with you had Thomas Pridgeon at one point as a drummer.
Pridgeon, I played with that, but that was not with Soup. I mean, Soup, we had a lot of people sit in. So Shock G from Digital Underground sounded with Soup. Steve Smith from Journey played with Soup a lot of shows. Zigaboo Modalise from the Meters was our drummer. So Steve Smith and Zigaboo, look at the Meters, right? The Meters, Birth of the Funk is Funkadelic, Parliament, and the Meters from the New Orleans, right? Yeah. So Zigaboo Modalise was our drummer. Dang. Steve Smith from Journey was our drummer. That dude, Trey Cool. That he played with us, but those, and then Shock G, and then Chad Smith from the Red Hot Chili Peppers. Yeah, those would be people in the crowd that go, except for Shock. Shock was like an angel who was just kind of there. Yeah, he was a dope dude. But
on the keyboards, right?
Yeah, on the keyboards.
So you did that for in your band?
Yeah, these are people that just would sit in, right?
Oh yeah.
And then so Pridgeon was more of, I was getting hired by the owner of the Boom Boom Room as the resident MC to come front all these bands.
For sure.
And that's when all that shit blew up. Me and him were playing Pridgeon one night with the bass player from Alphabet Soup. And then I've been off Facebook, as you probably know. I don't really do the social media thing for the most part. And
I realized that when I looked at all the messages I sent you and no reply, not even a scene.
But what happens when you text me?
Well, when I text you, or you call me back.
Right.
I appreciate that. Yeah, exactly.
Because I teach this stuff for a living.
For sure.
And then when you talk about public Wi-Fi, virtual private networks, and complex passwords, and all these different things about how people are got. Look at the Colonial Pipeline.
Yeah.
People are not safe with their data. Now, even in the song I just did on Friday, we're talking about flocking. FL, small case O-C. And that's what the new way of Google is doing to get our data. It's called, they're aggregating our data as opposed to saying, Gaspar, these are his likes. They're like, you 5 in this room, this is what you like, we're going to shoot our ad suit. And it's supposedly saving our data, but in a way it's worse. And so it's just, because I teach it, and I'm a cybersecurity dude, I'm like, do I really want people to know where I'm at? Where, look at me, I'm over here at Temescal. Well, it's a perfect time to go break his window. Yeah. Because your last post was about your 3 laptops in your room. Right? So I'm going to just monitor your shit. And then worse, right? Here's your bank account. I'm going to try all these passwords. Right? So I pretty much don't stay on it because it's a time suck too. Yeah. I'd rather spend my time creating, but I do need it. That's the point.
I was going to say.
It is necessary that someone has that job.
Right.
Right? And so, it's
especially since, as a performer, 90% of the people that come to my shows are all from social media. That's how I've always packed my, not packed, but brought people in.
Yeah, you got to have someone has to be running that game.
Yeah.
I'm just like,
you don't want to be the person behind that. Yeah.
It's just very sad because it brings out, it's like, man, you guys ever seen that movie with Leonardo DiCaprio, The Beach?
Yeah.
And it's like a utopia.
Yeah.
And then it's like, give it 10 minutes, Americans will fuck up anything. Right? Then they're stabbing each other. Right?
Yeah.
It's like a utopia at first, and then give Americans anything and they're going to ruin the shit. Just ask the Native Americans.
No, I've never seen it.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
It's a movie where these people, they're all American, right?
Yeah,
Some
yeah.
European, they go to this beach and it's an isolated beach, and they just take over. But eventually,
It's like Thailand or somewhere.
Yeah,
Is
like
it
Thailand. Yeah,
And they're like, well, the dope dealer's here, because when Leonardo DiCaprio, he gets to the town part, and it's all, it's like, dubstep, and it's crazy shit. People are doing coke.
it's all party town, like Bangkok.
Right,
Bangkok.
And someone slides a map underneath his door, and he's like, we're going to find this beach. And then they like swim from island to island, and then they wake up, and they come up, and they're in this dope field, hella weed.
Weed, yeah.
But the dope dealers let the utopian beach people live there as long as they don't mess with their stuff.
As long as they don't get the weed, yeah.
And then they just fuck it up. Next thing you know, people are getting stabbed.
Yeah, it turns into like the mob.
And then Leonardo has to go live in the jungle, right?
Exactly, yeah. It's literally, like you said, give them time.
Right.
They'll fuck it up.
Right, and that's the thing. It's like, I'm one of those dudes too. I'll read an article and I go to the comments. And the very first comment, he should die. And I'm like, I don't know. We pass a law that says you have to do comments in a public space?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, exactly.
Like, there he is with the camera on, and that's who you are, because everyone's hiding from some. Yeah. And I know I come off, and I'm not fake when I'm like, love everyone, because I did. There was a moment that I was like, man, maybe I should just be a negative dude and a mean dude. And I tried one day, and it totally backfired. And I was like mean to someone I grew up with, and she was like, why did you hurt me? And I was like, being an asshole don't suit me, so I'm just going to spread love. And the people are going to hate that.
I have a perfect story about you that I remember. Like, I had never heard this from anyone, and it made a huge impact in me when we were working together selling cable. I think at that point I was selling weed.
Who wasn't?
I know, right? But I had some, and I was showing you, like, because you had mentioned that you did that back in the days too. Yeah. So I was showing you my product. Look, it's from Humboldt County, and then you smelled it, and I wasn't offering it to you. I was just showing you. Yeah. But then I asked if you still smoked, and you said, nah, not anymore. And I was like, oh, okay, why? Because everybody smoked at the office. Yeah. And you said, because I'm already there. I don't need this anymore. And I was like, what is he talking about? My brain was so negative at that point that I didn't understand what you were like. What is he like? Did you get high one day and just never came down? Like, what are you talking about? And then I got to know you. Then I know how you are. Yeah. And like, oh, and that's something that I'm striving to achieve.
Yeah, that's something that tripped me out, is like weed fiends. That was real new to me because I thought like you smoke weed and then you were pothead, or you were like a weed dude or whatever, and you were just kind of positive. And then when I started seeing friends of mine like, fucking just give me the twomp. I'm like, dude, you're tripping because you don't have weed? Right? And so, like, for me, I was a straight up alcoholic. I am one. And so, like, what was it? August 23rd, 2009, my last drink was in the Lenox Lounge in Harlem. Wow. Right? I remember I was drinking Jack. It was supposed to be Jack and Coke, but it just went to Jack at that point. Right? And so I was like,
I feel it.
You know what I'm saying? And so I'm like, but that liquor would always lead me to the Coke, or whatever the Coke represented. Crack. Meth, whatever I could get, some dried goods, as they call them. And so I started realizing, I was like, well, if you drink and it leads to the drugs, and then if you cut out the drink, then you won't have that. Yeah. And I love weed. It's just such a beautiful plant. I love smelling it. Like, I'm wearing it on my calves right now. I wear the CBD oil. It's just an amazing plant. But I'm like, okay. And then I started doing the math. I'm like, I was a dude. We had a song. I forget what it's called, but it was like, first thing in the morning, at noon, 420's gonna come soon. Before I take a ride outside, another something in the night, right? And I'm like, damn, that's like 6 times I'm smoking, right? And then I started doing the math. I'm like, that's like an eighth a day. Yeah. Okay, $50 times 5, 25, 30, 50, 350. Okay, so that's $1,400 well, damn, that's a lot of money. Yeah. Damn, and then that's 15 G's a year. And I'm like, well, I just love life. I love people. You see, I got this energy. Yeah. Now I love cigars and coffee. Right? Oh, cigars. That's why I did this little cracky shit. This Phil's stuff, man. That's from
Phil's,
my boy.
Man.
You see my boy, right?
That's from Phil's.
Right? And so, it's a good cigar, like these Alec Bradley black markets, Cohiba, something like, just like, and I grind
quality,
my own coffee, and I'm like on this tweak where I'm calling my Jamaican homie. I'm like, you can get some Blue Mountain? Call my boy in Kenya. I'm like, well, I was just met up with my boy from Kenya last week, and I was trying to put together a solar deal in Africa. One dude I play music with is from the DRC in Congo, and my other homeboy's from Kenya. Actually, he was a cable homie. And so I'm putting them together so they could do a solar deal in Africa. I'm like, oh, by the way, I heard the Kenyan beans. Right, so I'm trying to get my
all this just for coffee.
Right. But see, this wouldn't exist. Me, CB showing up, what, I show up at 2 o'clock, just like I said.
Yeah.
Without you having to call or text. I put it on my thing.
Yeah.
Because you could depend on me now.
Yeah.
When weed, I might, it's cool, I'm at 220, but I still would have been here.
Yeah.
If I was drinking, it's a wrap. On a Sunday, I might be grilling outside, doing a couple lines, watching the Warriors right now.
Yeah.
And that's a good day. Back when I was fucking
that was a calm day.
Well, that's when we were contractors. I'd blow off work for 3 days.
Yeah.
Show up on Thursday, work Thursday through Saturday, and party again.
Yeah. And blow it all on the weekend on that. Bottles and the 8-ball.
Right. And I save money now, and then I donate to stuff, and it's just good. But yeah, I'm already there. The herb thing, it's such a man. And now they got weed crack. Right, all the dabs and stuff. I'm like, what did you do to the plant?
That is exactly what that is. Weed crack.
Yeah.
Wax. And
I see these guys torching the glass pipe, and then it's like, that's like taking away all the organic part of it.
Right.
And that's just, next they're just going to inject it. Like, oh no, that's what it's getting to. Right. It's leading to injecting the.
Well, have you seen like all the futuristic bongs that they have now too?
God, no.
They look like you're doing straight meth.
Well, there's the isolates. Have you guys heard of the isolates?
No.
Okay, if you come to our studio, that was a big thing at our studio like 3 years ago. A dude, they're like those little, like, I think they call them like mascara type little, whatever, the cosmetic little circular things, and you open up the top, and it's white powder. Now, ex-druggies like myself would know the difference between what Coke looks like and meth looks like. It's a little more wet on that side. Or if some really, the fish scale Coke, it's the way it clumps.
Yeah.
And that's this isolate. But then it's a trip when you know white powder. And the isolates is basically the THC, CBD, or actually it's all CBD, isolated, so it's crystals, and it's like this white powder, and then you do little scoops, sublingual.
Oh, I actually just started seeing that. Everyone was tripping because it looks like straight cocaine.
Yeah. It's isolates.
What's his name? Cookies are starting to do it.
Oh,
something
Burner?
like
Okay.
And I was just like,
it's the dude before him. He's the guy that gives it to all the UCSF and Florida.
Yeah.
It's putting people's cancer in remission. And I'm like, I did.
It's scary though. It's it's dangerous. I'm not saying it doesn't help. It's dangerous though, because I'm just be honest. You're Mexican or you're black, and you get caught with that. They're not even asking questions, right?
You got a switchblade.
It's a wrap.
It's a wrap. It's a wrap.
Right,
I'm just being honest.
No pun intended. It's a wrap, right?
Sponsored by Big Boy Raps.
Get it in there you can.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
No, but yeah, that's insane.
See?
That's too
and I even
dangerous.
tweak because I'll do the CBD in here and that, but I'm just like, I'm trying to get to that place, and I'm like I say, I'm already there.
Yeah.
But like this brings me here. Our spirits are lifted.
For sure.
I might check the words, but this is real life.
Right.
We're getting together, we're building. This is funny. I got Sports Center at the crib.
Yeah.
Right. I got the game on DVR. I'm not really tripping off that, but it's like to show up here.
I felt bad when you first. Yeah.
No, I'm just joking. I'm like, here, Ice Cube. This is one of the reasons I love hip hop, because it's so in your face. It's so real. It's like Ice Cube had a lyric that said, "Fuck him and his crew unless you're getting paid too." And he was talking about this false, like, jocking somebody, right? And so I looked at sports like that. I'm like the sports fanatics.
Yeah.
If I'm going to give up my life or my ability to have a relationship or money or whatever, like money is as it pertains to survival, roof over your head, food in the fridge or a fridge or electricity, so I could go do something else like watch a game. Well, then I got my priorities twisted.
Yeah.
Right? My homeboy reached out to me and said, "You want to be a part of this?" I'm like, hell yeah, I want to be a part of this. Or, oh, no, I can't because I watch the words. What did I say first?
Yeah.
Oh, that's wifey time.
Yeah.
The weekend, she's looking at me today, and she's like, "You're doing what?" I'm like, "JD's my homie. I got to do this." Right? So that's what I mean by being there already. And I'm always on this road. And I don't think weed would mess it up, but I did so much shit. Before I was 10th grade, I already done coke, shrooms, acid. I don't even think ecstasy was around that time. It was, but not for us.
Yeah.
But I had done all the drugs and the drinking by the time I was 13. And I quit in high school from 10th grade to senior year, and that's why I became a runner. And that's what opened up all these doors. You know, soccer was my first love, but I was like riding bench against the best dude on the team. So I went to track, became a miler. So, you know, the colleges started writing me letters. That was my in to get into college. And the reason I chose San Francisco State, because I wanted to do hip hop.
Well, that's where I went.
What's up, Gator? Yeah.
So you mentioned 2009 you had your last drink.
Yeah, 2009.
What made you stop at that point?
Well,
then, did you start up again after senior year?
Yeah, no. So second semester senior year, it was the Meet of Champions, which is like the qualifying meet to go to the state championships. And they do heats, and I was a miler. And so I ran the mile, and I think I was in the finals, and it was Friday night. It'd been 2.5 years of not partying. Yeah. And I twisted my ankle, and I was like, oh, shoot. And so I come up to my coach, and he's up in the booth, and this is at Edwards Stadium at Cal Berkeley, right there on Bancroft. And I'm like, I bring my little Berkeley High little uniform. And, of course, I'd stolen another uniform. Yeah. Right? And so I took my little shit, folded. I said, Coach, I messed up my ankle. I'm not going to do the finals tomorrow. I don't want to mess with my college career. Here, I'm turning in my my uniform. And he was a very churchy, Jerry Curl, gold chain, real cool spiritual guy. And he's like, Mr. Woe, we call him, Mr. Ward. And when I just talked to him a couple months ago, beautiful dude, right? Worked, taught math at the continuation school in Berkeley, and now he thinks he's up in Fairfield, but he's like, Chris, the school depends on you. You need to do this. I'm like, Coach, I'm not messing with my college career. I'm done, right? Yeah. And then that night, my neighbor was like, hey, you want to go down to the local school and have a six-pack and smoke some little shoo-shoo? And I'm like, it'd been 2.5 years. I'm like, you know what? I need to just release all this stress. I'd taken the stress, like, you got to get to the state meet. And so I went to the little sandbox with this girl, this woman, you know, this friend of mine, and we drank the six-pack. I smoked some weed, first time in 2.5 years. And we're sitting back in the sandbox. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to do that race tomorrow. So I walked down to the track. My boy John Smith was his name. He was from Marimonte. Yeah. He's like, hey, Burger, you need a ride? I'm like, sure. I jump in. And I was just relaxed. And I ended up, that was the one time I remember hitting what the athletes call the zone. And I'm going on the back turn, and it feels like tunnel vision. You feel your body's working like a machine. You're doing your mechanics. You feel no pain. It's like that Descartes shit, right? Your head is separate from your body. I'm like, oh, I'm in the zone. And I ran the best time. I think I ran a 4:17.3 for the mile. Wow. Right? And I get to the state meet, but then the doors open. I remember running, some other meets. And that time, that was the first year I smoked B. Wow. Right? And that summer, my boy got some crack, brought it, and I was an athlete. And what I do, I dropped to my knees the moment he gave it to me, and I said, you have got to give me more. Wow. If that didn't tell me, you guys watch Snowfall, right? You see what it does to people and communities. Look, all you have to do is look at Breaking Bad and meth, or just look outside.
Yeah, exactly.
Look what meth has done to people, and that's what drugs does. And so I was like, but I had that kind of set me on, and then between, that was 87 and probably the time that I quit, I would take a year off. I would take 3 months off. And I was notorious for took a year off. And then, but in 2009, I couldn't break that pattern. I had actually done a geographic to move from Oakland. Because remember, I had them 5 cops in Hayward. They were about to kill me. I had some lady when we were doing door-to-door lie and say I was a home invader. And we were just doing our job. Wow. And so I end up with, on the ground in front of Hayward High with 5 cops with, 6 hours to my head. And it twisted me. But Comcast was afraid that I was going to sue them. And so they would just give me a check. I wouldn't show up at work. Other people would be 10 minutes late. Get written up. So anyway, I was getting a check for not working, and I realized that was going to kill me. I had an opportunity to pull a geographic move to the East Coast. I moved to the East Coast, got clean after 3 months, and that's because I got clean in May. Came back for a show in California, fell off the rails for a week, went back to the East Coast, and I was like, okay, you already moved from home. You gave up your job that was giving you a check. What are you proving? No matter where you go, there you are, and your addictions too. And so I was like, you know what? You just need to get humble and just start from the beginning. And that was the worst thing, because my 40th birthday was a month after I actually really, really got sober, because I'm September 22nd. And I was doing a show in Brooklyn, and the musicians are there. They're like, yeah, motherfucker, let's see how you do without that shit. Right? And I'm like, scared as fuck, right? And that night, I'm like, I was, that's why I do the Red Bull or whatever, and I'm like, in a keg cup, so you can't tell. And I remember it was a solo, and I pick up the cup, take a swig. I'm like, fuck, that's someone's beer. But you're on stage, so you can't. So I just swallowed it, because if you don't intend to, you're not like, let me get more.
Yeah.
Right.
But that's kind of the thing, is really the bottom line was getting humbled to go, you are not wired this way. You can have a couple and just chill, because you've tried that. And I tell people, I say, once out of every 4 or 5 times, I'm cool. But you would not be in the Major League Baseball, Hall of Fame, right? Yeah. You know, those dudes that hit 300, you get a lot, but 100, you're not. You're gonna not find yourself in the league.
I noticed that in
50.
Yeah. You pointed it out. Like I did a show, and my thing was always to do a couple of drinks before the show and to calm the nerves.
Yeah.
But I would not. The way I had it in my head wouldn't come out that way.
Yeah.
So then I just like, fuck it, man. Let me just go in there sober.
Yeah.
And just, and then that's when I saw, okay, this is the way to do it. The nervousness is needed.
Yeah.
That's kind of a good thing.
You talked to Mario about this?
We talked about it a little bit, but because he actually talked about his journey going from sleeping at Bart in the daytime, going all the way around.
Yeah.
And he talked about how he got clean, and the thing he thought about when he was clean, the only thing he ever wanted to do as a kid was to be a comedian.
Yeah.
And that's another story that it's crazy that Mario Montes, the comedian, they're blood cousins, first cousins, right?
Yeah.
And
our moms are sisters.
Yeah. You guys recently met.
Yeah.
Because of a DNA test 3 years ago.
Yeah.
And it's crazy because I performed with Mario. We've done a show together. And then,
We've worked with him.
And we worked with him. And like, I remember they sent me a picture when they first met. It was like them hanging out, and like, they said they both, I think he sent it to me like, that's one of the things you guys talked about was me. And I was like, I'm honored, man. And we talked about having both of you guys on here because you guys have a lot of, it's crazy. You guys have a lot of similarities.
Yeah.
You had a past with alcohol and drugs. Yeah. And you're both talented performers.
We're actually going to do a piece together, and right now he's taking care of his wife, nursing her through. But he's a perfect example of this. When you're already crazy, right? He's already crazy. And so you don't need to fuck it up with the liquor, and you get to save money. And I always tell people, hey, more for you. They're like, oh, you know why? I'm like, more for you. Because I'm already there. And already there, it's not like some spiritual.
Yeah.
I try to be like that, but I'm already fucked up. Right? I'm just fucking fucked up. And so it's okay because I can admit it.
You don't need help. I'm already fucked up. Yeah.
Right. And the thing is, I got to say, I talk about coke and crack and this shit. My favorite shit was speed, that meth, because you didn't want any more. You're cool for 12 hours. You could take shit apart and put it back together.
Economical.
Right. Right. And I make a joke out of that.
The working man's drug.
Right. And the shit is horrible because now, me and Mario are very fortunate. I won't even talk about him because I don't know what he was doing, but that I missed the whole fentanyl shit. Because drug addicts will put whatever it is in their body with no regard. They'll trust the dude next to them. Right?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh shit, that's some good shit. You're not fucking waking.
He's not
you're
breathing.
out, right? Let me get some of that body bag or whatever that shit. And so, but
body bag.
But the funny thing about Mario, when we first met, he's like, and he's telling me, here's this dude I just met because I met his sister on the DNA thing.
Yeah.
And she had stage 4 cancer at the time, so she was like, a person in that position, like, let me do these things. And so she was like the first person to reach out. And I was like this hush-hush secret, the way I came into this world. And so when I met him, he's telling me stories of our respective parents. So his mom, my mom, their sisters grew up in the same house. And like, they grew up on this street. And I'm like, really? 1912? I live at 1916. So out of all the places I chose to live, I chose to live right next door to where my mom grew up in West Oakland. And in fact, we share a fence, that's insane. And so he starts sending me pictures of the house and them in the kitchen, him on the, and it's like, wow. And the way, and it's so hard to talk about because it's like, heart is on the sleeve type shit. And it's like when you realize you were this dirty secret. But the one thing about like being who I am now is like, there's something special about each one of us. That's the main point. So when I'm like, oh, me, poor me, there's nothing special about me, but I have a special story that's, that's individualized to me, but each one of us does. And so when it comes down to my story, so I have to say that before I start saying it, because it's like, I was this secret. My biological father was married, and then mom's had already had a kid with him. So she kept that kid, my brother, right? But didn't keep me, gave me away. I get raised in another family. And now I've met more of that same biological father's offspring, right? And so it's like, now I'm just over the 3 years. And so I think about that in the program that I joined to get sober was AA. And so they always say, don't leave before the miracle happens, right? And then you have like the big book thumpers. And I'm like, the people in that program saved my life because they didn't know me, but they cared for me, right? And so I'm like, big ups to those folks to keep it straight every day, because it's hard keeping it straight. At the same time, I'm a musician, and I'm around liquor, I'm around this shit. And so I'm not that thumper who says, people, places, and things you can't, that's where I do my business. And so, but I want to be there for the next artist. The next musician said, I still have a love to be in this thing, but I can't. And so when I think about that, and I'm like, meeting Mario, meeting this family, and going, oh, poor me, you gotta help the next person out, right? And so I can't wait to see what Mario and I come up with, because that motherfucker's crazy. He's hella funny.
He's hilarious. He's one of the funniest people I know. Yeah, so that's why when I saw there's got to be something biological that you guys are just naturals in front of people. Yeah, because I've seen you do your thing, and I've seen him, and it's just like, these guys are related.
I don't know what it is. I mean, you guys, it's like, is it like, because I'm the youngest of 10 kids, right? So it's like, whatever issues we have, we're working them out on stage.
Definitely.
Right? And it's like, the other thing is like, I got a voice because I used to yell for my mom from down the street because I was getting beat up or teased by my brother. I had this voice, and I was like, shit, I got this voice, right? And so, but the youngest of 10 kids, you want to be seen, you want to be center of attention.
It's like a Mr. Miyagi thing that you grow up in yourself, and then it works at this thing.
Yeah, definitely. So I don't know. It's like, I would say I don't know too much about comedians, but they all seem pretty insane to me, right? And artists in general. So you're looking at, it's like, we're all working our shit out.
Yeah, I find similarities when I do different types of performances or art. It's like, sometimes you have to go to dark places or, things like that. And so,
or like material comes from really dark stuff, dark places.
I think that's every artist, though.
Yeah. I don't know what it is, but it is. Yeah. There was this thing that I read for comedians, especially, that it was a study done that it comes from like a state of depression to crack jokes.
Robin Williams, look at them, dude.
Exactly. That's a great example of that.
Yeah.
I think it's also, and I think I've said this before, like I wish I could be better I wish I could play in a band and do drums. Obviously, you hung out with me the other day. You saw how my little setup. I wish I could do that. That's one of those things I wished I was better at, and I would like to be in a band. That's why I get along with musicians a lot, because I like what they do.
But sorry to interrupt, but every frontman of a group wants to be a comedian too. Because is that not true? Because
I broke a guitar screen. Okay, say something to the crowd.
Now you got to talk to the crowd.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's
like, you talk to the crowd. I talk to the crowd all night.
And that's
our job.
Don't break your screen.
Right. That's our job, though.
Yeah.
That's something that I want to do, and I want to do, like, I like cooking and all this and that. Yeah. But then I'm not saying.
Oh, and you're a dope chef, by the way. You guys have had his cookouts yet?
I haven't had anything yet.
You haven't had me yet, but appreciate it. Yeah. But then you do something like, I do stand up when I do it, and I feel like this is something I have to do. And I never wanted to do stand-up. I never wanted to do that, but it's just
stay in your lane.
There's stuff you're good at, and there's stuff you're just naturally gifted at.
Yeah.
And I think once you find that one thing you're naturally gifted at and you take off, even though it's scary, like you seem crazy to people.
Well, here's the thing that really helped me as an artist. Was, okay, so I'm really careful all the times in what spaces I really talk about, AA saved my life, or the people there did, right? So the next thing you know, I'm going off on the step 4 shit. And then people like turn their ears off, right? Yeah. But one thing I did join because of that was this group within, people that went to AA. They're like, oh, we're going to do this thing on the Artist's Way. The Artist's Way was this book written by this woman in the 70s, I think. And it was about finding that artist in you. And this goes back to that thing about vocalists want to be comedians and this and that. And this is what I tell people, because they're like, oh, you're the dude that raps. I've been doing it since 84, 85. I put out my first record in 1988. Yeah. Right? And I'm still doing this shit. And I'm like, check this out. I'm nobody special. You could come out with some shit and go platinum. Or look at Lil Nas X. Yeah. You throw it on TikTok, and next thing you're playing with Billy Ray Cyrus on the fucking Grammy. So anybody could get to that point. And this book, The Artist's Way, talks about at what point was that artist in each one of us, whether it was painting, whether it was comedian, singing, playing, was it like dampered, that spirit dampered? Yeah. So it goes back to the first grade where my dad said, what is that you're doing? Oh, I like to build sandcastles. No, kid. And it scarred me for the rest of my life. Yeah. Right? And it's like, has all these different things. Like you go on a date with yourself, and that's like, go to the art store. Or, you do these things within the book, and you do all these things, and, and you basically, you start looking at where your art is in your life. And I did that, and after I read that book, I did the Love Phenomenon. I think of Del from Hieroglyphics, and
Del the Funky Homo Sapien.
Homo Sapien, yeah, and he was talking about, like, he is a super respected of one of the baddest freestylers, Ice Cube's cousin. Yeah,
he is.
Dabalina, all that shit. Yeah. Del is dope as hell, and he actually has a good Ron Allen, who you're going to interview. Yeah, they're linked. Ron hooked him up with his first sneaker deal or something. Because Ron gets sponsored by the sneakers because of his skateboarding. Okay. But Del was saying, I read this article where Del was like, someone gave me like a Borders or one of those bookstore things for Christmas. And so he goes down and goes, $20. Oh yeah, how to write a hit song. So he buys this book. Dude is already one of the dopest rappers. Yeah. It fucking comes out with that, when I'm rocking in a bag. Oh yeah. Whatever that song is.
Gorillaz, Clint Eastwood.
Yeah. He comes out, and that goes platinum.
It goes platinum. And I saw an interview that he didn't even realize it went platinum until he was like, someone said, hey, I heard you on the radio. He was like, what song? Right. Because they just asked him to freestyle about something, and he came up with that. Right. That's crazy.
And so it's like every artist, they said a dog can't learn new tricks, and like these, we all know. I mean, especially, I don't like to put these individuals under but lead guitar players. I'm a big Jimi Hendrix fan. Anybody that plays lead guitar, Alex Skolnick, I grew up with from Testament.
You grew up with him?
Yeah, and I look at these dudes that play guitar. It's like, oh my God, that's one thing I wish I could do. Yeah, dope trumpet, trombone, or guitar.
That's my brother. Yeah, my brother's a lead guitar player.
Yeah. Right, and so sometimes the guitarists, they always go, "That's not so good." They hear a solo, I could do that.
In 2 seconds. But the problem is they can though. That's what makes it. My brother's first solo he ever learned was Santana's. I think it was Black Magic Woman. Wow, right. That was the second song he learned.
Right, and he was on guitar. Super young, right?
Yeah, he was 11 years old.
11 years old. Yeah,
it's like, how do you?
Like, well, the whole joke about how many lead guitarists take to screw in a light bulb, it's like 1 and then 20 to say I could do it better. Right. And when you're in a band, you hear all those ones, right? Yeah. And it's like, I always say, somebody's egotistical, so they're like lead vocalist sound check. Me. Right? Right. I forget what the term is, but it's like lead vocalist sound check.
Isn't it like a form of a healthy ego? Do you think it is?
To do what?
Like when artists are like that?
Lead singer syndrome? Or
it
can be.
It can be, but it can
also be really bad.
Yeah.
So when you meet those people that are like that in front of the cameras when the mics are on, and then they go off, and then like Chappelle. He looked like he ran everything, and then he's like hella cool with people. So there's a time for it, and if that's your shtick or that's a thing, like I don't know what Andrew Dice Clay is like as a person. Yeah, but he was an asshole.
Oh really?
No. On stage, fucking mother,
I heard he's super nice.
That's what I'm saying. That so that's your brand.
That's true.
But also as an MC too, you have there's some part of you that turns on.
You want the cameras and everything.
You want the cameras on.
You have to own it. Yeah. I remember talking with Gift
But I think
Gab.
it's not for you if you don't want some part of that, right?
Right. You have to be a monster. And I remember Gift Gab, who's from Black Alicious. You should get him on the podcast.
Yeah, definitely.
And he's talking about like even Zachariah Moe is like they're on stage and you're like, how come you're not sharing the mic with me at the spaces? Like they'll get off stage like, dude, I actually don't know how to do that. I only have one mode. And people love it because that's how they tap into that gold. Yeah. It's like, rah, 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 rah. Oh, now I got to be nice to you. Fuck you. You jump in where you see
right.
Right? And then that could be your genius. But if you ain't got it, then you're thinking about how bad you're feeling. I don't want to fuck with that.
And that's a healthy.
Well, then that just makes you guys look bad on stage, right? Because it looks like one's outshining the other one completely.
And that's the thing, because if you're that artist, you know to step off, let them shine. Because in 5 or 10 minutes, he'll be done, and then I can jump on. But really, the thing is, dude, now it's time for the guitarists. Because those dudes are back. Because that's the thing, when you talk about offense, too, they can fuck you up at any time. An odd time signature. And you're done. You're like, oh, it's not working. I have these 4/4 rhymes. They're not working. We had an extra beat, motherfucker.
When are you guys have any shows lined up? Because I know the Uptown's closed, and you did your birthday every year.
I was gonna do a memorial for our producer Zachariah Mose in 2019 or 20. But of course it was closed, and then we actually were gonna go in and try to buy it.
Yeah. Oh wow.
And
that'd be great.
Yeah, and then they sold it to like the owner's friends, right? And so it looked good for a second because we were gonna move our studio into one of the basements and do some things. Now that I look at it, because we're probably about 3 months away from, I don't know, you guys should tell me.
Yeah.
If we would have been able to survive. We could have, but we would have been selling shit off. Mm-hmm. And I don't want to run a club, man. It's the same thing. When I went to State, I was an audio engineer major. That's what my degree is in. I don't want to work the boards.
Yeah.
Fuck that. Deal with egos.
And then it takes away from your
that's
kind of,
the main thing.
Like Love Phenomenon, right now, that's your latest album you have out, right?
It is, but so when I talk about all that work that we've done over the last year, so we've been, another cousin I met on the Ancestry thing was the bass player from Confunction. EQ, he's the baddest bass player around. I could say that with just wholeheartedly.
Man, so it really does run in the family.
Yeah, you got some good genes.
Oh, and my last name is Kendrick, right? So my last name is Berger, but Eddie Kendricks is...
Eddie Kendricks, it might be something there.
Yeah, so, and then as my family members tell me about this, I'm like, but it's like, that's when I go back to the artist way. You could have the dance mom from the Warriors game. Like KRS-One talks about this. He says hip-hop has become such a global phenomenon. Old moms from Connecticut could get DJ gigs. And it's like everybody's got something in them. It says, are we getting it out? And it's usually the stale-ass artist, and I'll just use me as an example. If I get stuck in a rut in my ways, you have this new kid that come up, his mind's free. He's not like, the club's on, and the record company, dude, fucking get free. And that's what getting a day job helped me with.
Yeah.
Because now I don't worry about the finances anymore. I don't do the whack shows for the money.
Yeah.
Or have to go sell weed again.
Yeah.
Not that I couldn't make any money selling weed anymore.
Yeah.
The corner store got it, right?
And your free time is all revolved around the creativity.
And then the work that I do, the day job, is actually the good work.
Yeah.
So when it's meshing now with the words I talk about, but it's reality. Anybody can come up with some quality art because there's that many people on this earth that'll buy this shit.
That's man, we've been at it almost an hour now.
Have we?
And
What's the Warriors score?
I don't want to take too. I don't want to keep you away from the game.
No, it's all good.
First of all, I wanted to thank you for coming on and you shared a lot of wisdom, man. It was good to hear again, because you get caught up in this shit. I'm not good enough. I'm not, but that's true. Good art could come out of any corner of the world.
You're right.
And from the most quietest person that could bring out something. That's one of the things in film. All these great films coming out that are way better than the shit Hollywood's producing or music on TikTok or whatever. You find some SoundCloud rapper that's like, whoa, this dude is
underground. Right. It's like, do we want what the record companies are spoon feeding us? Or what is the battle for now? Eyeballs, unique visitors, right? So it's like, and I'm just queuing up a song so I can play for you guys, one of the news, because you asked, what are we playing? It's like, I don't worry about it because I'm producing so much stuff right now. So we're putting the next Alphabet Soup album together right now.
Nice.
And I talk about my cousin EQ.
Yeah.
We're doing song after song together. I'm playing with this dude from the Congo. Remember the solar deal I was talking about?
Yeah.
We got about 7 songs, so we're going towards the album. We're working with another bass player, Troy, the 6-string player, called Bedouin. So I got about 6 music projects.
Wow.
And then the next show is with Angeline's thing, Angel X. So that's sometime in August, some Mill Valley festival or something. But that's just a way to like vibe with the cool musicians and freestyle. But it's not my love phenomenon or my like alphabet soup.
Yeah.
But I'll cue something up for you.
Yeah, definitely.
Tell me when you want me to play it.
Can I ask you a real question?
Yeah.
Real quick. What is your thought on the state of the music industry right now? You with being signed, I don't know. Are you guys independent now? Okay, so the difference between that and then like how the industry is running right now,
Right.
because how we're talking about like, oh, kids could just throw these songs out and go platinum without a label, but then you're looking behind the scenes too, and guess who's picking them all up?
Yep.
Yeah.
Atlantic Records, Columbia, you know, they're getting picked up
They get
in
scooped
2
up
seconds.
quick.
Yeah.
And they're getting spit out pretty fast too
Yeah.
sometimes, which you know.
And if
it's,
if they don't get picked up, their content gets stolen, kind of, right?
not even like I think for musicians, if you don't get picked up really fast, I think it's almost like you have a better chance to keep kind of growing your small fan base first, and then you can kind of say yes or no. But the thing is, and just like if we didn't have a management team right now that we trusted, I mean, we've gotten crappy deal offers left and right. And I probably, if I didn't know any better, I didn't know, you know, to talk to a lawyer really. And I trusted these guys because my old manager said this, like, you know, he's your friends. I would have signed one of them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I think one of the most important things, I'm going to bring it back a second to what I do today. I'm in the tech world, and I teach digital literacy.
Yeah.
And when I went to the tech school, because I got hurt on the job at the Comcast job, the guy, when I walked in, he's speaking English, but doing all these tech terms, and he's like, he goes, what do you want to learn? I'm like, I just want to understand what you're saying, because you're speaking English. I don't understand a word you're saying. But what he turned to me and said, Chris, you need to get to the why you're here. And I would say that as an answer for the what do you think of getting signed? Because look at your crew. Why do they want to get signed? Why do you want to get signed? Why? And it's like, okay, you just played out a couple of realities. You could either get your content right. So what is the best scenario? And then if you remain underground and say, the why for me, I want to do the best music possible. How can I retain that autonomy? Right. And I'm like, what's the reality, right? Do I see myself? I'll be 52 this year. Do I see myself there for you guys making hella money off my likeness? Maybe, but do I see you making more money and targeting the 20 to 30? Yeah. Right. So what's the lane I stay in? Make the best song possible, but then look at your crew. What, you know, because you might be with the crew that half of them want, but I really get to the why, because even if that's all recoupable money. Right. Right? So the why, I would go independent, and the distribution.
That's what we're all kind of settled on now. Of course, in the beginning, it was like, oh, we have connections to these labels. Why aren't we signed yet? And then
it's exciting.
Yeah, of course, it's exciting.
Right.
You know, and when we don't
liked and loved. Everybody wants to be liked and loved and coddled.
What do you think? I mean, you get this big loan. We know it's a bank thing, but you know, you get this big loan. You get to make an album. Of course, that's everyone's dream, right? You get to work with these great producers. Well, we're on the section of, or on the side of, let's stay independent as much as we can. Yeah. You know, unless the deal's so good to be true that you can't refuse it. Yeah. But it is one of those things. Yeah, we definitely want to stay independent. We want to keep as much as we can before we have to give up something if we have to. But yeah, it's just it's hard though. But it's been really especially with like the internet stuff. Yeah, it's kind of what's the word?
Like it's saturated with a lot of stuff.
Not saturated, but it's like discouraging almost sometimes.
Okay. Yeah. I would really check in with your crew, because you are one person, what you want, and then see if your crew's solid, if you guys could hold the line together. Right. Because that's really, then it starts like what you want, who you are and what you want. Because I don't want to be like, you're the leader just because you're the, you know what I mean? No, yeah. But like, look and see what your crew is. And so you guys got to, because the first thing they're going to do is go, who can we do without? Right? Yeah. Right. Let's just build this around you and get some studio musicians, because you're the image we want. And then it's like, that's not what I envisioned. These are dudes I grew up with. Or these are, right. No. So I would check it with the crew. And it's like, that's the most important thing. Why and what do you want? Right. And can you survive without them? Yeah. You know, that's why I love E40 and T-shirts selling it out of their trunk. Yeah. Right? So they were like, now we'll talk to you. What can you do for me?
A perfect example of that is in La Bamba. Remember La Bamba? when he gets signed and then they bring him into the studio and it's like, I can't do it without my band. Right. And then it's like, what's really important for you, you know? Right. It's my family. So he sits down and records like, fuck him. that's like a perfect example of what you're talking about. I mean,
I've always said that I won't leave the band.
No, yeah, that's
You know what I mean?
yeah.
Like I
you guys
can't
are like
see
best
myself
friends.
doing it without them.
Yeah, did hold that. Yeah, because that's everything. I mean, that goes back to the why.
Yeah.
Are these lifelong relationships? Are they worth it? Is
definitely.
somebody doing stuff they shouldn't be doing?
Yeah.
You start looking at the weak links because they're going to come in and attack you.
Yep.
Right.
It's sad that it's like that, but it is.
They changed the lineup.
Who's going to come in?
Record companies, managers, they're looking what they could get.
And that's what you said is the
Also
best.
other musicians too.
Right. Well, that's
trying to
usually
take
the
spot.
managers of the record company. They're failed, right? If you can't do teach or whatever the
Exactly.
thing is, become a A&R. And they're like, I wanted to live that life. It'll just be you and me.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's a perfect. The best advice: get the good songs. Work on the art itself.
Yeah.
And then the rest will hope, just kind of, you can play steady shows.
Yeah.
A good song, that's always going to translate to success regardless of what.
That's the why for me. Get the best song you can, and then if it touches people, that's what's cool. Because we're all living. We got a roof over our head. We got food. Do I want to, what was it? The industry rule number 4080, Q-Tip City. Record company people are shady, right? And so that's just the reality. It's a shady ass. I don't even know what they're doing nowadays.
Yeah.
Right.
How are they going to survive? This is like as it gets more.
And what's
easy.
your shelf life? Right. Get your money how you can without worrying about the music, and the music will come.
Yep. Hey, that is a good way to end off the show. We can listen to.
I'll play it right here.
Yeah, man. And this is off of Love Phenomenon.
This is actually Instant Soup. This is Alphabet Soup, produced by Kenny Brooks out of New York.
Okay.
Tenor saxophone player for Alphabet Soup.
And he's the one that sent you 100.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Produced by Cam, who produced Love Phenomenon.
Oh, okay.
Self-expression, perfection, count times. You and me, unity, all time. The words wrote for past folk, this track spoke. So grasp hope, get your heart about the asphalt. Self-expression, perfection, count times. You and me, unity, all time.
Technology's trip, huh?
Yeah.
Rehearsal, the crown round like a circle, paint the town purple. When I hit you up, love not fisticuffs. Overstated that we made it, didn't miss the cut. I figured time was just a number they agreed upon, but we exist throughout the ages cause we beat a song. The cage birds sang, the bus rhymes too. From being hanged to bang bang, remind you, my people struggle, it's too much to watch the evil bubble. Cause he was shovel, bury me on the double. Those content, heavily sedated, aided by day to day, traded, living for life and faded, given in sight. Insight driven by like minds in tight times. The light shines through bright lines, I write minds. Design a thought out to make a head nod out. One of the first in the bay who burst you sought out. Whether it's hot out or not, may the feather be heavier than my heart when it's called out. Stop.
Yeah.
And that's going to be available on
all platforms.
All platforms.
Yeah.
When is that release?
I'm thinking, so we started with I think we're up to 6, but we got a lot that have been written. We just got to keep them in the studio.
Nice.
I go every Friday night in the studio. So
Well,
you hear that's not mastered, but that's mixed.
Right.
And
That's
that's to the
good.
point where we wanted the sax player to be happy to open up the floodgates for the rest. And so we're rolling.
Oh,
That's
man.
cool. I've already written 30 of his and another 20 of the other projects. So
and you got a name for that album?
not yet, but right now we're just calling it Insta Soup.
Instant Soup.
Instant Soup, because the soup is, two bass
Alphabet
players,
Soup,
DJs, all this, and we're like, let's just get the beats,
Yeah.
because what can you control? And we can control that.
And I am excited. Things are opening up again, and I really want to go see Alphabet Soup again.
We got to get down.
That's one of those things that I missed last year because I've been going for the last 4 years, I think.
Yeah.
To your birthday show, it's one of my.
Can you take me again? I really like that.
We'll put some. I think I might just throw a gig.
I always.
That's
All
what
right.
control.
Okay. Yeah. And I always talk because that story that the last show you had, I always tell the story about his experience there because he's a shy guy. But that day he made some friends at the bar and he was drunk and I was like, that's the kind of magic that happens at Chris's show.
You got to vibe it out.
Exactly. And thanks again for coming.
Man, thank you guys so much.
Where can people
Mr.
follow?
Ward, playoff game anytime for y'all. As long as they win.
Exactly. Where can people follow you or?
They can hit us up, lovephenomena.com, and then hit us up Facebook. Just Google us. Facebook, whatever, Instagram, Twitter, we're everywhere.
Right on.
So, but you can find us on all the platforms.
Okay.
Love Phenomena.
Love
Chris
Phenomena.
Burgers, Love Phenomena, YouTube, all that stuff.
Alphabet Soup also, where
Yep.
you can find. Okay.
Alphabet Soup too. Yep. Alphabet Soup, 6 cans of soup, striving, laying low in the cut. Look for all 3 of those.
Legends, man. Thank
doing
you for doing this.
One love.
One love. We're out.
So teaching.
Very nice.
Good shit, fellas.
Thank you, man. Hey.